Hi, I'm DeRutte.
And I'm Nicole Lowman.
I'm Patricia Soriano.
And we're doing the organizational memory method.
In order to discuss organizational memory as an information system, we must accept three assumptions to its framework. The first assumption is that organizations function similarly to information systems. Individuals and information processing systems are functionally similar to organizations in their acquisition, retention, and retrieval of information. Walsh hypothesizes that all three must have sensors that capture the data, some form of processing that identifies symbols and encodes the data, and methods for retrieval of that data. The second assumption is an ability to interpret the information gathered in order to react to environmental changes and use that information to have a meaningful impact on it. This assumption formulates the existence of memory in an organization, interpretations of past events to extrapolate a hypothesis about a future environment. The third assumption assigns the difference between variables and memories. As an interpretive system, an organization must hold memories that can be recalled to explain a system or behavior that is otherwise difficult to quantify. In this way, organizational memories aren't necessarily just variables that have passive effects on other variables, but fully formed ideas stored as information.
So the description of the organizational method is it originated by Walsh and Ungson in 1991. It discusses retention, acquisition, and retrieval of information. And a definition of organizational memory is stored information from past decisions used for current decisions. The structural organizational memory, the way that this works is information flows in through individuals, then it goes through the circumstances around it, including the culture, transformations, structure, ecology, and then also any external archives. And so it goes through these filters, and then these filters shape the information to where the organization is able to store it, and then they can come back and use it later on. Some storage bins, also can be called filters, are through individuals. Each person has their own unique interpretations. They interpret things through their own life experiences, through their values, through their own lives. Another one is culture. This is the society around them, a learned way or interpretation. Similar to storytelling, some details are added and some details are dropped. Transformation is another one. This is information is created so that it can be stored, and this is just transforming the information that goes into the organization to a relevant output. Structures is another one. These are role expectations, so how you act around certain people like your boss or co-workers or subordinates. These societal expectations drive the role expectations in organizations. Another one is ecology, a physical setting, so how the physical layout of the office is. If your boss is in a different place than the rest of the group, that affects how the group interacts with each other. External archives is another one. This is storage outside the organization. So say a person retires and they take all this knowledge with them, then when a new person comes in, they may have to go back to this retiree and get information from them. And transformation, structure, and ecology actually don't retain information, but they can shape it when it's read again. So the origin of this method is the research was mainly based on work of earlier scholars. Durkheim and Vygotsky led it in the early 20th century. Collective memory was one of the terms dubbed by both of them. It's not that collectives think together, but the individuals think with the collective in mind. Social construction theory is another one. This was mainly through Vygotsky. This just says that society's cultures and their expectations shape us before we have a chance to make our own filters. March and Simon was another one, and they were in 1958, and they said that the policies and procedures are, the memory of an organization can be stored through the policies and procedures, as seen in Starbuck and Hedberg, which did their research in 1977, that said that traditional roles can be obstacles. They often can hold an organization back when they don't allow for change to occur.
Organizational memory plays three important roles in organizations. The information role, which can contribute to efficient and effective decision making. Organizational memory also fulfills a control function, where it can reduce transaction costs that are very often associated with implementation of a new decision. It serves to efficiently shape desired behaviors without incurring expensive monitoring costs. Organizational memory can also play a political role. In this role, individuals in charge influence the actions of those who become dependent on the information. Since politics are a characteristic of the social process, it is inevitable that interpretations will be supported by some individuals and rejected by others. Organizational memory helps human resources have better knowledge management because individuals store their organization's memory in their own capacity to remember. Individuals and organizations also keep records and files, which can serve as a memory aid. Organizational memory can facilitate decision implementation and help managers make better decisions with regards to their organizations. However, there can still be misuse of organizational memory. For example, automatic retrieval can fail to meet the requirements of new situations and may promote harmful decision making. Another misuse of organizational memory is when organizations use routine solutions because retrieving past information is time-consuming and creates wasteful opportunity costs, which in turn defeats the purpose of organizational memory. Some strengths of organizational memory include the fact that it provides a decent framework for improving knowledge management. It also allows institutions to use information that has been applied to similar situations before. Nostad and May pointed out that the future has no place to come from but from the past. Therefore, an intelligent decision maker must balance information used before with an assessment of the present to achieve particular ends. Using organizational memory facilitates the process because organizations can use information despite the fact that they can't retain it, as they are always changing. Organizational memory gives these organizations a competitive advantage in several ways. For example, routine activities and standard procedures reduce costs associated with search and experimentation. Using these techniques, organizations avoid a lot of extra work. The filtering of particular information serves as a means to enhance and sustain power because this information has gone through distinct filters than that of competing organizations. The organizations become more efficient because organizational memory helps implement decisions. Plus, new decisions are less likely to be rejected by individuals if they are supported with events of the past. Although organizational memory is widely used, its implications are not completely clear, but it continues to serve as a foundation for management advice.
Companies who become too comfortable allowing organizational memory to dictate decision-making may be subject to stagnation or an inability to adapt to environmental changes. No matter how sophisticated an information system becomes, there will always be an unplanned variable that requires manual correction from management from time to time. Another limitation is startup companies or organizations plagued by inadequate management or inefficient processes will not see the same results as well-established corporations because organizational memory is a function of an institution's age, size, and success. Historically repeated decisions can trap an organization in single-loop learning. Information systems are often constrained to single-loop learning, which is trying to do the exact same process with only altered variables, as opposed to double-loop learning, which has the option of rejecting the process altogether in favor of a better or more efficient iteration. The majority of the limitations seen in organizational memory stem from the creation of the framework that is necessary to house the information. The structures that allow for decision systems also constrict those systems from making interpretations that lead to major overhaul or structural changes.